Are you actually going live?
Well, we're gonna see soon.
Are you actually lies and deceit?
We've had a couple of near misses. You can understand my
Suspicion.
skepticism, I believe is the
Skepticism.
correct term.
We are technically
Right, I
live.
will get the right, I'll get the link, so don't start doing anything.
Get me the link then,
Right, okay.
and test that it works.
Everyone, new stream.
Don't do at
'Cause
everyone.
what?
Oh yeah, actually do it. Let's do it.
Why would you not at everyone?
I don't know.
Only
I
at a small subset of people.
yeah,
At small stuff.
Also, why is it
Matt.
unlisted? Don't unlist it.
don't know.
Also,
I think
yeah,
they're
I was
always
wondering.
unlisted.
Yeah, I think we do.
I will.
This one's also unlisted, yeah.
Can somebody
I
confirm
unlist
that
them
we-
afterwards so that I can edit them and get rid of the Well,
The
yeah.
moans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder who does that one.
Perry, Matt.
Perry.
Matt.
Perry.
Right. Okay. I think
Perry.
we should wait for people to filter back in.
Okay.
After that.
Can somebody test that they can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can.
Okay,
Right.
perfect.
It's all working.
Right. Okay. So yeah, we had some minor technical difficulties
Michael's internet
involving
failed.
parents.
And internet.
He got grounded.
Yeah, sure.
We're in lockdown. That makes no difference. TFW, you get grounded during lockdown.
POV, you'll get grounded.
yeah. Okay, that is a better
How long,
TLA.
Matt, with yourself?
Well, there's only 4 people watching at the moment, and we had like 8
We
before.
can
So
we can talk about how 33 likes and Harlan's.
we actually have about the same number of
Harlan's
people
vote,
watching
yeah.
it on Discord.
It's all just us. It's all alt account. We're all on our like mains account. Just like, oh, 5 now. Let's go. Mega's joined.
Oh wow! Can I actually see who's watching?
Yeah, you just look at the yeah. There's a participants thing.
Yeah, but that only says chat.
No, it shows
Why are
everyone.
you guys?
It just says
supporting
UOLs.
people?
It only says UOL Cybersock. Right, okay.
Oh yeah, it doesn't show people who don't.
Should we
have
just wait? Like,
accounts.
could someone say in chat if they're willing to wait for like a minute for more people to come in, or whether they're impatient and just want it now?
It's been a whole 11 minutes, Harlan.
I know it's been great, but frankly, it's been 11 minutes. Another minute won't damage it. Oh, see, we got 6 Perry.
Let's
Oh.
go.
How about this? We start, and in the worst case scenario,
That's
they can just.
oh, and they left.
We're just not cool enough, man. Attention span of people on YouTube too slow. We need to be like those
Oh,
30-second.
God. Right, okay, just go.
unskippable.
I'll mute myself. Just go.
Perry.
Bye,
Bye
Harlan.
bye.
Okay, so, take 2. Shells and Metasploit today in reverse order. So we're going through shells. What are they? The different types and where you can find cheat sheets. And then Michael will be going through Metasploit. So what are shells? So essentially, it's just a command prompt or terminal that we can access remotely. So, for example, SSH, you SSH into, a computer and you get a shell on the computer. So there's 3 main types: reverse, bind, and web shells. And these can be created in a variety of ways based on sort of the tools you have available to you. So, you can call a reverse shell with Python, PHP, Bash, Go, Perl, sort of anything that's there, you can make use of it. So reverse shells are probably the most common type that you'll find sort of everywhere. And it's where our target makes an outbound connection to a port that we're listening on. So we sort of run a command on the target machine that connects back to us on a port that we're listening on. But how do we listen? So we use Netcat or Metasploit. So Netcat is it's just a tool for making manual TCP connections, essentially. There's a lot of different variants, but often it's just normal Netcat. So if you look at the screenshot, the top terminal is the target and the bottom is the attacker. So in the bottom screen, we are listening on port 1337 for any connections. And then on the top one, we are connecting back using Netcat to the attacker on the port that's being listened to. And that's essentially just the concept of reverse shells is you connect from the victim back to the attacker, and then you can control it from the attacker machine. So bind shells are, quite a lot less common. So sometimes our target might be behind a firewall, and this can cause issues. So a bind shell is sort of the opposite concept to a reverse shell, and it's where we open a port on the target machine and connect to it rather than listening on our machine. So what this does is allows you to sort of bypass any sort of, firewall rules which prevent traffic going out or going out. But quite often you'll find that NAT and the firewall we're actually trying to get around can still cause issues because they'll actually be filtering inbound traffic more strongly than they would outbound, which prevents us from connecting to the bind shell. So the third type is web shells. So sometimes we only have access to a web server and some functionality such as file upload. So we'll cover file upload vulnerabilities in a future session. But in this case, what we can do is actually upload a shell, which is called a web shell, to the web server and then run commands from there. So you sort of need to match the language the shell is written into the language which the web server is using. So PHP, unfortunately, is the most popular. If you go to user share web shells, there's a lot of popular examples. So web shells are just essentially scripts which allow us to run commands against the web server. Um, Simple ones will just be used for you to spawn reverse shells for more persistent friendly access. But if you look at the screenshot, you can even get sort of quite advanced ones, which then allow you to control everything and it prints it out in a friendly manner. So if you ever need to sort of pop a reverse shell or a bind shell, you can use these cheat sheets. So Pentest Monkey is a good one. High on Coffee is another one. But you can also use Metasploit to, sort of service all your like shell needs, and that's what Michael's going to be covering next.
Alright, let's talk about Metasploit. First of all, what the hell is Metasploit? Why the hell should I use it, right? Well, basically, think of it like a database that's interconnected with tools. For example, MSF console. You can run commands on that, and there is MS Venom. Both of them are part of Metasploit framework, which allows you to run different exploits, scanners, encoders, knobs, etc. Right? And all of this is interconnected. You can see this on the graph here, for example, that all of those modules go into the same tools, right? Those tools, MS Venom, MSF console, both of them have the same modules. We can also have plugins, right? So we can extend the functionality of those tools. And here we can see the different interfaces you can use them on. We mostly will focus on console, but you can use anything else, like any other GUI, web, command line, whatever else, right? Uh, okay. And this graph should visualize you how this works exactly. If you don't know what it is, for example, Rex, that's a Ruby extensions. Uh, I recommend you Google it and think, okay, so MSF base, for example, does the core of it, right? It's the thing that you interact with, and MSF core does the actual job of it. Rex allows you to run extensions. Most of the tools are written in REX, and then you have plugins which you can add. So, for example, MSF Venom, right? Let's say we wanna make a payload that's gonna work on Android. In this case, I wanna run a Android Metasploit shell. Metasploit is a type of shell that allows you additional functionality in Metasploit. So MSF console, you can run more commands like loot and others in the database. So in this case, this is my payload. This is what I want to use. And this is my localhost. So this is where I wanted to connect and the port. What's R? That's the raw output redirection. This is where I say, hey, you have to make it into redirect everything and put it into this file and call it .apk, right? Ash.apk. So I really recommend you to learn MSF Venom because it's really cool. I feel like it's way more powerful than MSF console. However, they're both different things because MSF console is managing sessions and managing all your loot and everything. MSF Venom is more like a payload generator, which you can edit and you can make it better. So in this case, I've run this Android exploit on my phone, right? I don't recommend you to. This is the exploit I've wrote, and this is the exploit I've run. The same exploit, exactly the same thing. I don't recommend you to run it on your own phone. However, if you have like a spare Android phone in your shelf somewhere, or just check it, you might have some phones. I used to have like two old Android phones. Don't have them anymore, so couldn't. So I've run it on my my new phone, right? And one problem, there is antivirus built in into the phone. So I couldn't bypass it. No matter what I did, I just didn't work. But you can see how easy it is to make that shell, you know, like it's literally one command, then sign it, and then put it on your phone, see if what you can get. That's how I recommend you to learn Metasploit, especially MSF console and MSF Venom. So let's see the basic concept of MSF console. First, we run it, right? That's, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Then we have to identify the host so we can add it to Metasploit database. So in an example, I don't know, scan the router or a phone or a Windows machine or Linux machine, whatever it is. Then you try to identify a vulnerability in it, right? And then you configure the payload, exploit it, and off you go. You have the host, you have the loot, you have everything, right? So what's the most important command in MSF console? Help. Literally the best command they could ever come up with. It will tell you everything. Help space whatever your problem is. Like, I don't know, you don't understand the options, write help space options. You don't understand something, just write help before the command. So for setup, if you are running MSF console, in this case, you first gonna run sudo msfdb init. This is only one time, this is only first time. The second command you have to run every time you restart the machine. This is because PostgreSQL shuts down. You can probably automate that. I didn't have time to do it, so I didn't. So that's how I'm gonna tell you to do it. So you can see me here writing MSF console. I have it running, I think. Yeah. So if you run the setup command, I've already run both of them, so I'm not gonna do that. And then just write MSF console. Sometimes I recommend writing sudo MSF console if you're gonna run sudo commands, like some nmap flags require you to write sudo. For this, I'm not gonna do it. And now you have this, right? Help, help, help. Yeah, you can do help on everything. All right. So first, let's say I want to find an exploit. What am I gonna do? I'm just gonna write search, and then I can write category. So for example, I want to find CVEs, and then I'm gonna search for, I don't know, 2017 CVEs, and you have a lot of them. That's one command. That's showcasing you all of the exploits available in Metasploit. It's really cool. It's really, really, really useful. You can also write show. So show to do payloads. This is gonna take forever because there's so many payloads. But yeah, this is really, really useful. It shows you all the different payloads. This is the same thing actually in this case, but you can do way more with search because you can write search CVE or search, let's see, help search. I'm gonna showcase, and you can filter it through different keywords like who wrote it, right? What's the CVE? What's the date of it? What's the port? it's running by default on. Really good, really good. Info gives info about the current module. I never use it. Well, I sometimes use it when, so for example, if I use, oh no, use payload. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, okay. So let's say I use payload x64, VNC inject, and reverse with HTTPS. So now I write info because I don't know what the hell it does it do. And now I know, okay, so those are the options which you can change, every one of them. So as you can see, this is the yo local listener. So that's you and your port that you want to listen on. And when you run it and when you get a shell, this is where it has to connect back. So you're gonna do a reverse connection, as per set reverse shell. So I've already covered this, so we already know this. So let's say you did everything. You found something you wanna exploit. You identified who you want. So first thing you would normally do is you would run an nmap, right? And that's a good way. I say yeah, do that. But wait, there is another way. There's a way better way. What you can do is you can run nmap from MSF console. Why would you do it? What's the point, right? Well, think about it. Run it from the MSF console, and then you can just write vulnerabilities, for example, and then you get all the info about the vulnerabilities that you got from the nmap. And then you also know all the hosts that you've scanned, right? And you can search by category, like so the help hosts. So let's say hosts. I wanna add. No, I'm not gonna add it. I wanna write a comment saying comment to 10.0.2.15. I don't know, info, something important, right? And then write hosts, and boom, comment is there. So this allows you to work better with your hosts and with scanning. This is so powerful. I'm telling you right now, this is the only way I would do it, but there probably are other ways that are equally powerful. But think about it, scanning and then putting everything into text file, not efficient. This just stays there. This, I can exit, I can come back, and it's still gonna be here. So it's really, really good. Yeah, you can use another cool commands. So what's the 24 here stand for? That's the subnet. So that says, hey, I want to scan 255 hosts. You can tell that by your EF config. So for example, if I want to scan this network, I would just think about it, okay, just invert this number, and then you get, okay, 253 because you minus two hosts always, because you can't use 0 and you can't use 255 as the host for scan. So in this case, 253 hosts that you would like to scan. And you're gonna see this vulnerabilities everywhere. Literally, I literally scanned my whole network, and those were the vulnerabilities. They are not that massive. Well, this is pretty massive, but this is not my network. Okay, and look, that allows you to keep all of the passwords and important information. So for example, if you running Metasploit, you got into some machine, let's say Windows, and you run hashdump. Hashdump basically dumps all the passwords and logins uh, as hashes. So you're gonna have it saved in the loot command. I don't have any right now. Yeah, I don't have any, but as you can see, pretty good. It's a really good managing tool. Really, really efficient. So we already identified the hosts and we added them to the Metasploit. We have used the Metasploit database to run it, the payload on them. So normally what you would do is, for example, find an exploit for this, right? And you can either use 0 or you can use exploit Unix blah blah blah. You can paste any of them, both of them will work. So now I can get info and I'm like, okay, I would read it. What does it do? How does it work? Why does it work? I would then probably Google it to see like a low level explanation of how does it work, because we don't want to just run Metasploit payloads, because that's not really teaching us anything, does it? Then I would run options, and this tells me, okay, our host and our port, that's the machine you wanna exploit. That's what you have to put, and then you're gonna do it by setting our host. So set our host, and then you're gonna give it IP. I'm not gonna give IP here because I'm not planning on exploiting anything. And same with our port, whatever. If it's already there by default, you most of the time don't wanna change it because there is no point. Yeah. IL port, that's your listener, and R port, that's what you're gonna attack. That's the only difference. Honestly, this doesn't even probably need explanation. Where some people get confused about this, so I'm saying this right now. So reverse shell, as per explained, client to server, and then client speaks to the server. This should be the other way around. So how do I run a reverse shell in a Metasploit? Those are the commands you would use most of the time. This was written when Metasploit 5 was a thing, but it should work on Metasploit 6. I haven't tried it on Metasploit 6 since then though. So a word of warning, it might not work. If it doesn't, I recommend you Google and try to understand uh, the commands. So when you understand them, you actually know what you're running. So let's say you have a shell running, right? Right now I'm not running anything, but let's say you're in a shell and it's running and you want to background it. How do I do it? Control Z. That's how easy it is. Control Z and it's gonna say, hey, do you want to background it? Alternatively, you just write background and press enter, and it's gonna say, hey, do you want to background it? And you're just gonna say yeah again. This is literally the same thing, but Control Z is so much easier because you don't have to type anything. If you want to connect back to the session, this has a typo. This should be sessions space 1, for example, because when you have multiple sessions running, they're gonna show up and it's gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or however many sessions you have. And you can just write sessions 1 to connect to first session. You're gonna know by the IP most of the time which session you actually want. So Metasploit has 4 type of modules. So you remember I constantly was talking about exploits, but that's not all that it does. That's not all it gives you. For example, auxiliary modules, they're really, really good. They allow you to scan stuff, right? So like let's say you don't want to use Nmap, you just want to scan for certain thing because Nmap cannot scan it. You're gonna use the auxiliary modules from Metasploit, so from MS console inside of it. You're gonna find so many auxiliary modules. Use them. People have created them for you, but before you use them, I recommend you understand them, right? So Google them, understand what it does. If you can do it manually, then yeah, automate it for yourself. Use the Metasploit. Encoders, those are the things that allow you to hide your thing. For example, let's say your payload that you've run on Windows machine, it's been uh, identified, right? When it happens, what you're gonna do, you're gonna use encoder on it to change certain bytes, see if it runs. If it still doesn't run, you change more bytes and until it runs. So that's what you're gonna use encoders for. NOPs, so no operation. So Haran was explaining how buffer overflows work. When you have a program, you have a list of instructions. Imagine them going down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna overwrite some of them and with the knobs, and suddenly they don't do anything and you can jump to certain thing. That's what's gonna happen. That's what they are very, very useful, especially in reverse engineering and buffer overflows. I've already told about the auxiliary modules. Other helpful things in auxiliary modules is they allow you to fuse certain stuff and they allow you to sniff certain stuff. So fusing, writing different characters, different symbols that the system might not particularly like, but maybe it likes it. So you can scan it via Metasploit to fuzz it. You can also use FFUF, but well, both of them are pretty good in my opinion. Yeah, they use the same use concept. Auxiliary modules, exploit modules, all of them use the same use concept. So you can use certain payload, right? You can use certain auxiliary module. You can use certain NOP module, and all of this is all built in, right? It's all there. It's all there for you to use. I honestly use it. You have the power to use it, but understand what it does. You can test your skills on tryhackme.com/room/blue. We used certain characteristic of that room. So for example, if you get there and you get the administrator hash, that's gonna be the flag for our room. However, I'm not sure if ctf.cybersec.cf is up. Harun will have to tell me or tell you guys. And as soon as he does, I will let you know. Here you have a Metasploitable link. I recommend you to try exploiting it. It's a Linux machine that's full of exploits. You try running Metasploit on it, then try understanding what the hell, how the hell does this exploit work? Why does it work? That's the most important. And once you know that, you're golden. And that's all.